Hello everyone, I decided to make this video because I posted a video a while back on YouTube where I did a whole Chevy Silverado up a bed liner, and I kept getting a lot of the same questions over and over again. So I thought I would make a video that addressed all these questions and concerns, and basically I am going to touch on everything from what the product is, where you can buy it, to how to apply it, and even the prep work that it takes before you actually apply it. So I'm going to first start off talking about the product itself and where you can buy it. If you wish to just skip forward to the prep work and what I do to prep the vehicle before I apply it, should be a thing popping up right here that says which time you need to jump to. And if you wish to just jump to the part where I actually apply it and what I did there, you can click in this corner here and it should show what time you should jump to in order to see that. So before we get started here, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. As you notice from my car video, something's changed about me. I don't know if you can see it at all. Nothing at all, I guess. I actually had eye surgery done. Yeah, it's been a pretty big change in my life. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm missing a hand. It's a long story. If you would like to know more about that, I provided a link in the description to my webpage. It's levistanford.com. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the product itself. So this is RAPTOR Bedliner. So you can see there. It comes in these bottles. Now, you can either buy it in two ways. I don't know if you can see that there. You can either buy it in black or what is called Tintable. Right? You can see that it says Tintable right there. Now the difference between them is black is just your standard black, and Tintable is basically just a base color, and then you add a pigment in there that will tint it to make it a different color, and I'll get onto that later. Three things that are awesome about RAPTOR Bedliner is, the first one, it has a gloss finish, so when it cures, it has a nice gloss to it. It's not just a matte that is plain. And the nice thing about the gloss is also because number two, it is UV resistant, which means that in years and years it won't fade. So that glossy finish on it also helps it not to fade, which is amazing because you don't want to do a whole vehicle or some other project only to have it fade in a couple years and look really ugly, right? So it has a nice finish. Also, when it cures, it's not totally solid, which can be pretty bad because if it cures so it's like super solid, then when your vehicle heats and expands or shrinks due to cold weather, then it will crack. And the nice thing about Bedliner is that it is pretty pliable. It's still pretty hard and is durable, but at the same time allows for that change in temperature, and it expands and decreases with your vehicle so it doesn't crack, which is an awesome feature. So I'm going to show you a couple projects that I've done so far. So my first one was the Silverado one. The link to it is in the description below if you want to see what I did on that video. Second one was a Dodge Ram that I sold. It's this one right here. And the third project that I did is I did the hull of the boat. So it's on the inside there. I fiberglassed the whole thing and then I covered it in Bedliner because it's waterproof and it's durable. And so that's a couple projects that I've done. Okay, so moving on. We got the Bedliner. You can buy it just in the single bottles, or it comes in what is called kits. So it's these things right here. Now the kits come in 4 bottles, right? So it has 4 bottles, and then in the center of the kit it's going to have the hardener. It's going to have enough hardener that you need to mix about 5 bottles up. But that all comes in a box. And so basically you can buy the kit. Now you can either buy the kits or the bottles straight from the U-Pol website. So that's the company that makes Bedliner, is the U-Pol right there. U-Pol. So you can either buy directly from their website, which I'm going to provide in the description below, or the cheapest places I've been able to find them are on Amazon and eBay. On Amazon and eBay you can find them for about $115 to $120 a kit. Otherwise, if you go to your local body shop or some place that sells them just as a distributor, they might charge up to $160 to $200 a kit, which is freaking outrageous. So Amazon and eBay are your best bet to find them, or just off the U-Pol website. So moving on. So that covers the basis as far as buying the bedline itself. This is the hardener. Now this is what you need to add to this in order to make it cure. Now as you can see, it's a different label. This is just the standard U-Pol 2039 hardener. Now, if you buy a kit, it's going to come with a special RAPTOR hardener, right? And it looks like it's just meant specifically for this. But this hardener and the RAPTOR hardener are exactly the same. Same thing, just different container. So when you're buying kits on Amazon, sometimes it will have the 4 bottles and then a hardener that looks like this. Don't get scared, it's the same hardener that comes in the actual kits. They go both ways, so it's fine to use this stuff. Now this is the tint. This is that pigment color that you add to the bed liner, the Tintable bed liner, in order to make it change colors. Now I got this at my local body shop. They mix it up for you. You could also get it straight from the U-Pol website. Like I said, link is in the description below. Now if you want, you can actually send in your paint code off your vehicle. If you don't know where your paint code is, usually it's on the driver's side door on the inside. You open it up and you'll see a sticker on the inside that gives most of the information, the VIN number, stuff like that, but it'll also have your paint code as well. And if you copy that paint code and give it to the distributors, they can copy your paint code so it will match your vehicle. So that way the outside of your vehicle will match the inside, unless you don't care, whatever. They should have samples there of what colors there are to match. So those are the products right there that you're going to be looking at to buy. Now as far as coverage, for my whole Chevy truck, or for the whole Dodge, it took me about 3 kits to do the whole vehicle, and then it took me about a kit and a half, so 6 bottles to do the box itself. So if I were you, I would probably just buy 5 kits. That way you can get really good coverage. So I would buy 2 kits of black and 3 kits of Tintable. It's gonna take about that much. So including everything, so the sanding paper, the filler that I used on my vehicle to fill in the dents and stuff, the bed liner itself, all the different wheels and discs I used for sanding stuff, everything included for that Silverado, it cost me about $1,000. Now that was to do, like I said, that included the putty, the paint, the bed liner, the filler, anything like that. So that's how much it cost me for the Silverado, was about $1,000. If you were to take it to a shop, sometimes they charge up to 5 or 6 grand to do a whole vehicle. So this is the way cheaper option. It may not be as good as quality, and sometimes you get a lifetime warranty depending on the shop, but I'm not sure what U-Pol's warranty is as far as their end. You'd have to check out the website, but basically that's how much it's going to cost you roughly if you're looking at doing a vehicle. Now for some people, they don't like the texture of the bed liner, and for those people I say don't put it on your truck then, because there is going to be some texture. It doesn't matter if you're using a soda blasting attachment or whatever else, there's always going to be some sort of a texture to it. Now I don't have it here right now, but the gun that I used was the U-Pol, I basically call it the splatter gun. It's this one right here. Now that runs about $20 on Amazon, and basically it's just a really big nozzle and you'll spray it on. You'll see me using it later on when I actually apply this stuff. Okay, I think I've covered most of my grounds. So like I said, the description, so I think I've covered all my grounds. Like I said, U-Pol website, if you want to check her out, see as far as getting your tint and other products like that. I listed a link to their website in the description below. Also, if you're curious about my nub and the story behind it, you can check out my personal website, levistanford.com, also listed in the description below. And like I said, Amazon and eBay are your best bet if you're looking for something cheaper to get this stuff online. So let's move on to the preparation time and the prep work. So see you in a bit. Okay, I am losing my voice really fast, so I'll try to get as much as I can across. So the most important part to this whole process is preparation. You have to do a really good and thorough prep on whatever surface it is that you're wanting to bedline, or else the adhesion won't be there and it will just eventually flake off. So there's a few tips I'm going to give you on preparing your surface to make sure that there's a really good adhesion. So I got this old car hood here that I'm practicing and showing you everything on. Now these scratches here go all the way to the basic of the metal, and so there is a pretty big gap between the paint and the metal. And so for these ones, even though you bedline them, you'll still see the mark. So what I use is usually typically 80 to 100 grit sandpaper, that works the best, and the bed liner will end up covering this up. And so for this stuff, you want to sand it. And so basically you want to sand it till everything feels pretty much flush. So there isn't a huge difference between this crack and the actual paint itself, because when you bed line over that, and as long as it's flush, then it will be nice and smooth. Now as you can see, there's some scratches here and here and here, but they're just surface scratches. So if you touch them, they don't feel like they go in really deep. They're, for the most part, they're pretty flat. And it's scratches like these, or scratches from the sandpaper, that the bed liner will cover up. You don't have to worry about those getting perfectly smooth. So for basic prep work, you see how there's the clear coat on this? As with any vehicle, there's a clear coat over the paint that protects the paint. And that's what gives it the shininess. So what you want to do is take your sandpaper and you want to take off the clear coat. You don't need to take the paint right down to the primer or the metal. You just need to take off this clear coat here and scratch it up so that the bed liner can stick to it really nice. So I'll do that quick. Now, in between sanding, you need to look at this because it can be really deceiving. It looks like everything's scratched up really nice and that my prep work's done, but if you wipe it down, so wipe it down with a cloth, and then you'll see that it's not totally 100% done. There's still spaces in between where I've missed sanding, obviously. So after I've wiped it down, I can see where I need to sand still, so I'll go and I'll sand a little more. And it's best to sand in circular motions, because if you just go back and forth, then you're gonna miss a lot. So if you sand in circular motions like this, you'll for sure be able to get mostly everything. So anyways, moving on. Now, I've got this hood for a reason, because it's got this crease in it. So a lot of the time as we're sanding, especially in the bed of a truck, there's areas that we can't really get into sand very well. So even right here, there's still this line right here that I can't really get into sand. And there's gonna be a lot of spaces on the surfaces you're doing that you can't get into sand. So for what they have is a special stuff called adhesion promoter. And it's this stuff right here. And basically, you can either buy it and spray it in a gun, or they do have it in the can. And so what you do is you sand as best as you can, and then you take the adhesion promoter and you spray it over the area that you want a little more help adhering to. So I would definitely spray it all along this line here, or in the box of a truck, in the corners, or things that I can't really get to. And then you let that dry for about 15 minutes before you apply the bed liner, okay? So what you do is you get everything prepared, and then you spray the adhesion promoter on the places that you need a little bit of help, and then you apply the bed liner. Okay, so that's the basic prep, you guys. Just make sure that the big cuts and the big scratches have been sanded so it's a little more flush. Make sure that the clear coat of whatever it is you're painting or bed lining is gone, and that it's all scratched up and it's a really good surface so that it can actually stick to what you're doing, okay? So once you're done sanding and getting your prep work done, you need to wipe down the surface. I usually take an air, my compressor, and I blow off all the dust first, and then I wipe it down with a degreaser that evaporates. So I usually use Brake Clean. It's really good because it gets rid of the grease, but it also evaporates and it doesn't leave a surface. There might be some other things out there, but you want something that doesn't leave a gummy surface afterwards, that just kind of evaporates off, but at the same time gets your grease off. And so once your surface is all clean and ready, and if you have everything taped off that you don't want sprayed, it's time to get spraying. And so I'll show you how to mix things together and where to go from there. Okay guys, so it's time to move on to the actual application process. I got my bed liner here, my hardener, my tint, and my gun. So before we start off, you need to make sure and double check that the bottle says Tintable, okay? That it does not say black, it says Tintable. Because if it says black and you add your tint, you're screwed. It needs to be Tintable, okay? Now if you look on the bottle, you'll see that there's two distinct lines. There's this first right first one right here, it looks like it's just a fancy decoration in the bottle, but no, it's actual measuring line, okay? And the second one, if you can't really see it too well, it's at the top of my thumb right there, that second line. It's kind of hard to see, but it is there, okay? So what you do is you actually fill the hardener to the top of the crease, and then once your hardener is up to there, then you'll fill your tint to this line right here. And then you'll shake up the bottle and mix it. So once again, you'll fill up the hardener until it's about to the top of the crease, and then you'll add your tint and fill it till about that line, okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So you can see inside the bottle, and you want to make it to the top of the crease, okay? You just eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect. If it's a little above, awesome. If it's a little bit below, that's okay as well. It's better to have more than less, but you just kind of eyeball it. Okay, so right now I have filled it all the way to the top of the crease. So now I take my tint, and I'm gonna add my tint, and I'm gonna watch it and eyeball that as well. And you wanna just fill it to that brim line that was there. Oh, just barely enough. Perfect. Yeah. So right now, the total fluid is right at that line, that top line there. And so what you want to do now is put the lid on. Make sure it's tight. This one time I didn't have the lid on tight, and I went to shake it and it popped off, and oh, that sucked. So now that the lid is on tight, make sure it's tight. You just want to shake the... Are you freaking kidding me? Okay, well, sometimes this happens where my bottle lid is actually cracked. So now I'm gonna have to push down really hard and basically just shake the crap out of it. You need to get it mixed up really, 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 really good, okay? Okay, so once you have shaken it for about a minute, you want to make sure that it's really, really good mixed. You're going to take off the lid. Now take your gun and you're going to put it in like this. Okay? Now, it's pretty handy. This gun just screws right onto the bottle itself. Oh yeah. So now it's on there nice and tight, you can see, right? Don't turn it upside down, or else it will spill back out through this hole, okay? You always make it sure it's right side up or sideways. Don't ever turn it upside down, or else it's gonna spill out. So this is the compressor gauge, so I can see what PSI I'm spraying at. Right now I have it set to 40. Now it's really good, anywhere between 40 and 80, you're gonna come out with a good product. If you put it up to like 100 or below 40, it's gonna be kind of dicey. So I prefer about 60 is usually where I put it, but I'm gonna show you the difference between 40, 60, and 80, okay? If you don't have a gauge like this, or if you don't have a regulator, I suggest you buy one for your compressor. Unless you have a compressor that only goes up to like 80 PSI, then you're fine. But I wouldn't shoot it past 100 or 120, or else it's gonna be pretty hard to apply. So now you are ready to go. It takes about 20 minutes before this starts getting really gummy. So you make sure you want to be able to spray and get, go through the bottle within 20 to 30 minutes, or else it starts to set up. Now you'll notice I have a piece of cardboard here rather than the hood. And I suggest, if you've never sprayed this before, that you practice first on a piece of cardboard. Do not practice on your vehicle, okay? These vehicles are our babies, so you don't want to screw them up, okay? And it is a lot different than paint, the way it goes on. And I made this mistake. I practiced on my vehicle first, and it made for some not so good things. And so if you practice on a piece of cardboard, then you can adjust your pressure to kind of what texture that you want, okay? So right now I have it set at 40 PSI, and I'm gonna practice first. Now if you've never painted or done anything before, I'll show you a few techniques that make it really good, okay? So a common misconception or mistake that people like to do to just try and get the painting done is they'll just hold it down and go along the top like this. And if you do that, then you're gonna get spots that are thicker than others, and it's not gonna be a nice even spray, okay? So the best way to paint or add bed liner is to feather it, like this. So you see how I did there? You just kind of do it in little spurts. That way you can get a more even coat. You can see that some spots need to be filled in, so you just do a nice little spray. And that's the best way to do more even coat, okay? So I'll keep going. This is 40 PSI. It's not very high. Now another thing, the nice thing about bed liner is with your painting, you kind of want to keep it in one direction. You never go up and down and around. But with bed liner, it doesn't really matter. There isn't any nice crease or anything, so you just want to spray it and fill it in, okay? I go sideways and then I'll go up and down and then sideways just to get a nice even layer across, okay? Okay. Not bad, not bad. It's a pretty rough texture right now, and so the nice thing about cardboard is I can be like, I want my texture to be a little finer than this. So I just turn up my PSI, and 80 is probably the best you want to go. It'll give you a pretty good fine little texture, but there's also something you need to know. When painting at different PSIs, you have to adjust the distance from your gun to what you're actually spraying. So right now, since it's really low PSI, I can get closer. If I were to be that close on a higher PSI, you would get runs. So if I was this close at a high PSI, you would do that, and then I'd get a spot where it was running. And you don't want to do that, okay? That's why I say you need to practice on cardboard first, so you can adjust your distances according to your PSI. Do it first, please. Because I have done it so many times, I've had to learn the hard way where I've messed up spots on my truck. So practice on cardboard first, okay? Okay, so once you've practiced on cardboard and you've gotten pretty confident, then you can move on to the real thing, okay? So this is on 40 PSI still. Now just like as if you're painting, if there's different angles or spots on the truck, you need to adjust so that you're always spraying it straight on, okay? So that you don't create any runs. Now like I said, at a higher PSI it's going to come out a lot faster, so you have to adjust your differences, okay? Okay, so that's at 60 PSI, not bad. I want to remind you guys that I'm not a professional. I don't get paid to do this or something, okay? This is just something I do on my own time, I do for fun. Any average Joe can do this, and so it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to look good, okay? I chose orange so that it would stand out so you can see the texture. So yeah, 60 PSI, 40 PSI, I'm going to crank it up to 80. Okay. We're now at 80 PSI. I'm going to just kind of paint the bottom and then I'll show you the different textures, right? Once again, adjust your distances according to your PSI. Okay, so I'm done with that now. I'm going to let this cure for a while. So it usually takes about 18 hours for the bed liner to properly fully cure. But I always am safe and I always just go a full 24 hours just before I drive it or anything, just to make sure that it's adhered and cured properly. If you want to add the clear coat after, I would do it probably about 14 hours after. You want to do it where the surface is dry to the touch but is still pliable, because if you do it too late, then the clear coat won't adhere to the bed liner, and if you do it too early, then it's just going to be a mess. So you want to do it at about 12 to 14 hours, just when the surface is pretty tacky. Now, conditions, you want it to be about room temperature is ideal, or warmer. The warmer it is, the faster it will cure. So at least room temperature. You don't want it to be colder, or else it won't cure very fast or properly. So make sure your temperature of your working area is also pretty warm. So yeah, I'll check back with you guys once this is kind of dried up a bit. Okay everybody, time to check out the differences here in PSIs. It's kind of cured for a little bit. Block the light there. So this is when I showed you at 40 PSI, okay? It's really rather rough. You can see there's big gobs on there. And I didn't do a very good job filling it in, obviously, but yeah, you can see there. Pretty big. Now this is the one at 60 psi. It is similar, but you do notice that you do kind of fill it in a little bit better, and it isn't as crazy. It isn't as rough. Okay. So there's this far away. There's that far away. A lot bigger gobs. Not too bad. Now this is the stuff at 60 psi or 80 psi. Sorry. As you can see, it's not that bad at all. Nice kind of even texture there down the sides. Now I did this on purpose to show you what happens if you get too close. You see there? That's why you gotta practice first, because if you don't, you'll get stuff like that where it just kind of runs, right? And then it sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's pretty ugly. Now you can see there, that is a dent. So that's what happens if you don't fill in the actual dents, is they still show up even with the bed liner on. But as you can tell, those scratches that were on there, they're all gone. It covers them up really nice. Okay, so this side, this is where some of those bad scratches, this is where some of those bad scratches were, but they're all gone because it really covers it up nice and well. But like I said, dents, you need to fill those in or else it will pick it up, okay? It's not some miracle filler treatment. This is just a thicker version of paint, basically. So yeah, 80, 60, and 40. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope it answered some of your questions. It definitely proved to myself that I have a far ways to go before I'm ever perfect at this stuff. But that's the thing, any regular Joe Schmo can put this stuff on and have it good. But the 3 things I want you to focus on is prep. Do not skimp on the prep. If you want good adhesion, you gotta put in the time, okay? Second one is practice. Make sure you practice on cardboard or something else before you actually go on the truck, man. I'm talking about practice, not the game, but practice, okay? Last thing, please wear eye protection. I'm sorry, I was a moron through this whole video, but I was rushing stuff. Don't. Just take your time, be safe, don't skimp out on protection because there might be some blowback. Now, by chance it gets in your eye and screws you over, okay? So just be safe out there, guys. Yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already checked out my other vehicle video, please feel free to go there, and yeah. Peace.